everybody. My name is Rossana Rodriguez. I am an educator, I'm a community artist, I'm a mother, and I am an activist, and I am running for the aldermanic seat in the 33rd Ward. I came here from Puerto Rico about 10 years ago. In Puerto Rico, I was a teacher, and after the economic crisis in 2008, some very awful austerity measures were passed that devastated a lot of the public sector in general, and I had to leave. And I was very lucky to find a job here in Chicago with the Albany Park Theater Project. Are people here familiar with the Albany Park Theater Project at all? It's really funny because when I came here today, when I saw the address, I was like, I know that address. Why do I know that address? And then I realized that we had a play in this place 2 years ago. And today we were doing rehearsals for that show. And we opened shortly after. And it was an immersive play about education in Chicago. So it was a whole flashback thing, being inside of this building. So with the Albany Park Theater Project, I worked for 7 years, and I was a resident director there. And because one of the reasons I was the only Spanish-speaking staff member in that company, I was in charge of going out in the community and getting the stories that we would turn into plays. And through that work for 7 years, I sat in living rooms and kitchens, and I walked in the community and talked to a lot of people, especially Latino people, about issues that were affecting us all, especially the families of our young people in the company. So we talked about immigration, and we did a play about immigration that was in the Goodman Theater. We talked about the broken immigration system and families being separated. We talked about education, and we did this immersive play here that talked about all the hardship and everything that students and teachers go through, and school closings. We talked about food and food insecurity. We talked about people fighting to stay in their homes in the face of foreclosures and evictions, and trying to fight with banks to let them stay in their homes. And every time that we would do a play, it would take us a year to gather all of those stories and then learn about what was happening. And then also get involved in the struggles with the people who were trying to make a change. So in Puerto Rico, I was really involved in a lot of different struggles as well. So when I came here, I realized that the struggles were very similar. And by doing every one of those plays, I also got involved in every one of those issues, right? So for example, I was a part of helping a lot of our young people who were undocumented come out of the shadows and become part of the Dreamer movement in Chicago. So that way I learned a lot about Chicago and Chicago politics and the issues that people were facing. And at some point, I was a part of the Team Megan campaign to get a history teacher elected for the aldermanic seat. And that way, 33rd Ward Working Families was born, and I was a founding member of 33rd Ward Working Families. And through 33rd Ward Working Families, we have been able to address a lot of those issues in our own neighborhood. Lately, we were part of the Leave the Ban coalition, and we were able to put the rent control issue on the ballot, and we got 70% of the vote by canvassing our neighborhood. And we have been doing a lot of work that I am really interested and passionate about. At some point, I was drafted by my community organization. They asked me if I would run for the aldermanic seat, and I said no, and then I said no, like I don't know how many times I said no, and then I realized that if I wanted to see a progressive woman of color that has been doing this work, I would have to do it myself. So I decided to listen to the people who have known me for a very long time and believe that I could do this work, and I decided to run. And so I am now excited about doing this. We had our launch party 2 weeks ago, and we had like more than 100 people come and donate and sign up to become volunteers. A lot of the young people that I have mentored in the past at the Albany Park Theater Project had jumped in and they started a youth group to help get me elected. And we have a very diverse group of people that are really interested in participating. So I am really excited about doing this, and I came here today because I wanted to know you all. I'm really happy that you are getting together also, and that you are doing this work that is so important in the community. So I wanted for you guys to know who I am, and if you want to get involved in our campaign, I would be more than happy to have you. And if you have any questions about what we're doing, I would be super happy to answer. And Chris has been working with 33rd Ward Working Families for a very long time now, and he can also talk a little bit about our work.
Rob too, actually.
And Rob.
Any questions, anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. What would you say are some issues in our community that are being ignored by Debel?
For us, gentrification is a massive problem. Our experience in Albany Park, and I know that this is a generalized thing. I am a teacher in Humboldt Park, and it's the same thing everywhere. We have had many people that have been evicted by big, me included, by really big developers that are buying all the buildings. And every time that we have been to Deb Mel's office to try to get her to help us, either give more time to the tenants, get some sort of relief, she has ignored us. We have sat and talked to her and tried to get her to get the developers on the table and try to negotiate. And it has not happened. She has actually been really cynical with us and defensive, and she has refused to work with us. And I would say that is a really, really big problem, because the neighborhoods are just becoming wider and wider, especially for people who have families. I have a child, and I had to, within the time that I was pregnant and my child was 6 months, I had to move twice because I could not afford the rises in rent. And that's it doesn't work. It's not sustainable. If we actually want diverse neighborhoods, we have to make space for people like us to be able to live there and to afford those places. Education, our high school, Roosevelt High School, has been starved of resources for a very long time, and we haven't really gotten a strong response from the aldermen to help us fund that school, make it strong. It has been starved of resources for a very long time, and so many teachers have left that school and have been laid off. And it is like the last choice for young people to be able to go, and that it makes me really sad. That school should be a cultural center. It should be a school that is strong and that can be an anchor for the community, but it's not, and it feels like they don't want it to be. So right now we are definitely working a lot with rent control. We are also really interested in immigration. We live in a ward that is very diverse, and there's a lot of undocumented families and individuals in our ward, and it doesn't, I don't feel like anybody's safe right now, and that's really scary to me. Most of the people that have become my extended family since I moved to Chicago are people who are undocumented, and I am scared all the time. So in the 33rd Ward, we have been able to create the Albany Park Defense Network, and we have been working with families to do court support and make sure that they have the support that they need in order to fight deportation cases. But also we have been working with one another to make sure that we know when ICE is in the neighborhood, and we can take care of our neighbors. And this is something that aldermen should be doing. The things that we are doing with our neighbors and getting together to be able to protect each other, those are things that aldermen should be doing. I know that we need to be strong in services, but we need to care about our people. And if we talk about diverse neighborhoods, we need to make sure that people are safe, that people have places to live, that people have schools to go to. So I don't see Mel doing anything related to it. So we have to step up. Yes.
And
I'm
it's,
sorry,
that's it.
facing the opposite way.
I know one power that aldermen have is in zoning, and that's one of the challenges we see in our neighborhood. That there's, it's there's been a lot of taking 2 flats and 3 flats and turning into single family homes, and sort of this that doesn't require zoning change, but it does make our neighborhood less dense. It also adds to the less diversity and affordable places to live. And so I'm just curious how can zoning help the neighborhood in your eyes?
Not long ago we were talking to Carlos Rosa about that because I am definitely not a policy expert yet. I'm sure that I will become if I become alderman, but he was talking about the things that can be done. Zoning is a part of it, but it is not clear to me to what extent we can work with that. I'm working on learning about it. I think he talked a lot about the things that you can do in order to get developers to work with the aldermen. Developers need a lot of things from the person who is sitting on that seat, and you definitely should seek a good relationship with your alderman, right? There are fines that aldermen can impose for different reasons, and at this point, it feels like that is not being done at all. So yeah, I am not an expert in zoning yet. I'm looking forward to learn about that, but there's a lot more that could be done right now to prevent people from being evicted and people from being displaced, which is what's happening.
Any other questions? Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me
Yes,
so
thank you
much.
so
I
much
have
for
some
coming.
flyers if people want to learn more about the campaign. The website is on the flyer. Yes.
Just
Thank you for coming. So I just want to make a disclosure.